What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Finding Hope podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Bundy. We are on season 2, baby, and I am so excited you are here and you are either joining in for the first time and joining this amazing community, or you have been a part of it and you're continuing to grow in it. I'm so honored you're here and that you are listening. Don't forget, there's a new episode every single Wednesday. And if you have not already rated this show, please make sure you rate and review. And if any episodes have ever helped you, please send it off to a friend and encourage them to give it a listen. We have Pixie Rose with us today. She's actually with us every single time. Usually she's just in my lap sleeping, but right now she's a little more active. Hi, baby girl. Oh my gosh. So cute. For today's episode, we are doing a full deep dive into hope and what it means, why we need it, how it can transform our lives, what to do with it. And basically, you can expect to walk away from this episode feeling so reassured of why hope is one of the most essential things you need in your life to create change, to create the dream life you want, to have joy, to have peace, to have happiness, all of the things. So let's get right in. According to the Webster Dictionary, hope is defined as an expectation of fulfillment or success. And it says, in general terms, hope involves a positive and optimistic anticipation or expectation that something desired or wished for will happen. And then we are going to go into the biblical definition because it is that same expectancy, but that biblical definition is really where it's going to guide us for every single episode that you ever hear on this podcast. And it's cool that they are very similar. The biblical definition is also connected with an ounce of power on the other side of it and promise on the other side of it, whereas worldly hope, there's no promise on the other side. Biblical hope, there's a promise attached to it. The biblical definition of hope is rooted in a confident expectation and anticipation of something good and positive. In the Bible, hope is closely tied to trust and faith in God's promises. It goes beyond mere wishful thinking and is grounded in a firm belief that God is faithful and will fulfill his promises. One key passage that encapsulates the biblical concept of hope is found in Romans 15:13, and it says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." This verse highlights the idea that hope is not just a fleeting emotion, but is derived from a deep trust in God, resulting in joy, peace, and an overflow of hope in one's life. In summary, the biblical definition of hope involves a confident expectation and trust in God's promises, leading to a positive anticipation of a future characterized by joy, peace, and fulfillment of his purpose. Jeremiah 29:11 expresses the divine intention behind hope by stating, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Here, hope is associated with God's purposeful plans for the well-being and future of his people. So the reason that hope, and kind of why I named my podcast Finding Hope, is because I think it's such an underrated aspect, and it truly is essential into transforming any area of your life. Because if you do not believe and think that there is a positive outcome or breakthrough on the other side, then no matter what you really do, you're not getting to where you want to go. And there's that famous saying that basically is like, whatever you think it is, it is. I believe I'm going to have a horrible day. I'm going to believe I'm going to have a great day. That's the outcome. Whatever you believe it is, it's going to happen. And so hope is the belief that we are expectant in something good. If we can't even believe that there is something better and that our situation is permanent, the way we feel is permanent, what we're doing is permanent, there's no hope, then it's almost impossible to actually have any sort of positive changes or even experiences in your life. And I love how in Romans, when it says, may the God of hope, that is saying he is hope. So it's not just a cool trait. And I like that it's not just fleeting on emotion, but it is really coming from a deep trust and a deep belief that there is an expectancy on the other side of it that is good and that is great and that is for you. And I love that it's not just rooted in emotion, because I think a lot of times hope gets overlooked because it's kind of classified as a feeling like, oh, I'm feeling very hopeful, or, I'm feeling sad today. And in reality, like the way the Bible talks about hope is not a feeling. It's not like I'm sitting here going, oh, I feel like things are going to get better in my life. I feel like this is the end of the world. I feel like I'm sick today. It's not a feeling. It's something that it's so deeply rooted. It's not happiness. It's not joy. It's not an emotion. It is what you're rooted in. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it kind of changes things, because it's easy to have emotions that can feel good and to feel empowering and to have all of these emotions where I feel motivated, I feel empowered, I feel encouraged. Those are great things, but they are emotions at the end of the day, and they are so fleeting, and it's not rooted in anything. But hope is where you're rooted. So when you have hope and then you feel those emotions on top of it, you guys, it is game changing. So that's what I really want to just emphasize right now, is that hope is so much more than a fleeting emotion. No. It is where you are being rooted, where you are drawing from. It is saying, may the God of hope. We are drawing from God, and God is hope. And he is overflowing us and filling us with joy and peace as we trust in him. But hope is not an emotion, because if hope was an emotion, God's not just filled with one emotion that is not everlasting. He is such a rock. And so when it's saying, may the God of hope, it really clearly says that hope is so much more than just a feeling that's going to come and go. That bleeds into why we need hope. So we need hope because without it, we aren't really rooted in anything that's grounding and where we can go deeper for us to blossom on the outside. And what's so unique about hope is that no matter what you believe in, everyone has hope, and everyone is hoping in something or someone. And I think that's just so cool, because anyone can experience hope. Anyone can have hope. And whether you think you have hope or not, I promise you do. It's just probably not rooted in soil that is going to help you grow in the areas you want it to grow. And there's a lot of times I have to check myself, because sometimes I'll notice I'm putting my hope in myself, or I'm putting my hope in other people, in other things. I'm putting my hope in the finances that I'm either bringing in or not. I'm putting my hope in different areas in my life. And even when I've been in really bad relationships or family drama, and I'm expectant in a certain outcome, that is where my hope is, because hope is that expectancy in an outcome. And so if I'm expecting a negative outcome, that is where my hope is rooted. If I'm already planning to have these bad things happen, then there is the fruit of where my hope is and where it actually has been placed. And so why we need hope is so essential, but also where we're going to choose to place our hope is vital. Placing your hope in God is so vastly different than anything that we could place it in this world, or any person we could place it in, because people change, circumstances change, environments change. We all have seen how the world can be flipped upside down in a second. No matter how long things have been the same, it does not matter. There can be COVID, there can be world disasters, there can be so many things that all of a sudden everything you thought you had your hope in is now changed. On a big scale, it's easy to see that when you decide where to place your hope, it should be in something so solid and never changing and so constant. And so pulling that back, though, to the small things, if we aren't placing our hope in something that is still rock solid, constant, so consistent, then when it does come to the big stuff, it feels uncertain and it doesn't feel like we can be fully believing and expecting a good outcome. I know in my life when I have not had my hope rooted in the Lord and rooted in something so solid, that when it does come to breaking family chains or having to mourn a loss from a dream of mine or a person that I was close to, when my hope in the little things hasn't been rooted in God and something so constant, then when it does come to the big things, I'm way less likely to actually believe that there's going to be change. Having your hope rooted in the Lord creates such change, because change starts in your mind. And when you are believing for something every single day and you're watering that daily, you're going to see growth in the areas you want it to grow. How hope can transform our lives. I want to examine the transformative power of hope in personal growth and resilience. If you want to be super healthy, let's say you want to check these different boxes for yourself, you're able to do these certain workouts, you're able to eat a certain way so many days of the week, you're slowly seeing your body start toning up, gaining more muscle, you're feeling stronger, you're way more energized, and you're hoping that you're going to be healthy. When you are fully believing and expecting that, it is going to come, and it is so transformative. And when you are fully believing and expecting that you're going to heal from trauma, you will. If you are believing that you're not, and if you're believing you're going to still be unhealthy no matter what you do, you will be unhealthy. And if you believe you're not going to heal from your trauma, it's going to be so much harder, and you probably won't really heal from your trauma. You have to believe. That is the start. And so that is how hope can transform our lives, because it really genuinely starts with that firm belief that it's going to happen and that you can get there. And that moves right into hope with action, because you have to have action on the other side. If I want to believe I'm going to have a 6-pack of abs when I wake up in the morning, and every single morning I wake up and I'm still believing I'm going to have a 6-pack, and I don't eat right, I don't go to the gym, I don't do all of these things, but my hope is so firm, guess what? Eventually, when I keep waking up and I keep looking in the mirror and I see that I don't have that, my hope will start to dwindle. From it dwindling, then I'll start to question it. And then from there, I'll probably even start to believe that it's never going to happen. And I'll start to doubt myself. I'll start to doubt what I was believing in the first place. And I'm going to end up staying exactly where I am, except now I'm even more disappointed than I was at the start. Whereas if I had just taken action, I would have already had that. And so I think it's so important to realize hope is powerful when there's action on the other end. You have to have that genuine belief that you're going to get there. You have to believe, oh, I'm going to wake up with this 6-pack. And that is the motivator to, okay, to get there, I need to go work out. I need to go eat this. I need to cut back on that. And you take those actions. If you just aimlessly hope and you never put in the work on the other side, then what is so sad that I've seen in so many people's lives is they just stop hoping, when hope wasn't the problem. It was the actions that never followed what they wanted. And so it always starts with hope, but it never ends there. It starts with hope and it ends with action. And it's clear, even in that first verse that we read, where it says, may the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. There's action in that because he's saying, may the God of hope, and then what we're rooted in. And then the action is that he's filling us with the joy and peace as our action is to trust in him. So there's always action within hope. And then there's always that promise tied to it that he is going to fill us with joy and peace, that he is going to change our circumstance, that we are going to be able and equipped enough to do what we want to do. I just want to encourage you to take practical steps for incorporating hope into your daily life and adding action with it. I've been trying to get a lot of vision on my next 3 months, essentially. And I'm doing this 12-week year. I'm reading the book right now. And so it's changed a lot of the ways I'm thinking about time and my goals and all of these things. And something that is just so good for me is it forces you to really write down all of your goals and to put it into only a concise amount of time. Usually you break it down by the week, and then you essentially do what you would do in 12 months in 12 weeks. And then you repeat, and then you reset the cycle and you reset all your goals after the 12 weeks. And so it forces you to really start grinding. And it's really shown me as well and convicted me that there's actually a lot of areas I have a lot of hope in, but I don't necessarily have a lot of action in. And when I've had to look at my goals and my dreams and my vision and to concise it into, if all of these things have to happen in the next 3 months, what am I realistically responsible for in getting these things done? Because I can hope all day long that they are achieved, but if I'm not making an action plan to get there, it's almost impossible that it's going to get there. So I just want to encourage you to try to set some practical steps and write down your goals, write down what you want to see hope in, whether that's a relationship, whether that's your grades, whether that's somebody talking bad about you and you're hoping that that situation changes. I want you to write those things down and then write the actions on the other end of it. If it is that person that's speaking poorly of you, don't just hope that they stop, but maybe address it. Maybe just say, hey, that's really hurtful. I don't appreciate it. Maybe every single time they open their mouth and they say something that is not uplifting for you, you let them know that you're very discouraged and you're hurt right now. And you take that action. It can be small things, and even standing up for yourself. That's been a big theme for me if you've listened to any episodes, but I really struggled with it for so long. And I really have to take action because I want to believe that I have a voice that is worth hearing, that my opinions matter, and that when I speak, I don't want to just be silenced. And so if I'm hoping that people will respect what I say, I also have to take the action into speaking my mind and to saying when I'm bothered, saying what things are going through my head, being open to be vulnerable with people. And so with hope, there's always action and uncomfortability, but I promise when you combine them all, it is really incredible the ways God moves in your life. I know a lot of people can be turned off by the word hope because they view it as wishful thinking. And so I just want to clarify that on the foundation, biblical hope is grounded in the promises and character of God. It is based on a trust in God's faithfulness and the assurance that he will fulfill his promises. Whereas wishful thinking often lacks a substantial foundation and may be based on personal desires or optimistic feelings without a secure basis. Biblical hope always leads to a sense of joy, peace, and perseverance, even in challenging circumstances. And it sustains believers through trials and difficulties, whereas wishful thinking often results in disappointment when reality doesn't align with the personal desires or optimistic expectations. The reason it's so important that it it's rooted in a biblical sense, and why I keep kind of pressing into God's promises, and hope is always tied to a promise, and all of those things, is because God's word says that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And if I can do all things through him who strengthens me, I need to decide, well, where is my hope rooted? And how am I allowing him to strengthen me? And then he's promising that I can do all things. So I can overcome the trauma. I can heal from things. I can travel the world if that's my dream. I can really do what my heart desires when it's so connected to his. And he promises that I'll be able to do all things through him who strengthens me. So that's where hope is just so essential, because it ties it all together in that that's God's promise for us, but then he is hope. And when we are rooted in that belief and that expectancy, and we're taking the actions, we can go so much farther than we ever dreamed we ever could. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I always love your feedback, so please let me know what you think of this episode. Send me a DM. I'm always wanting to learn what you guys want more of, who you want on the podcast, and what your biggest takeaways were. So please never hesitate to reach out, to send me a DM, to leave a comment on the episode. I really love reading them, and it's so helpful for me because I want to serve you in the best ways possible. And for me to do that, it's so much easier when I know what you need and what you want. Don't forget that if you liked this episode, to share it with a friend, post it on socials, and tag me. And I cannot wait to talk to you guys next week. Love you.